Deep in the heart of Willowwood Forest, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind and the stars painted glittering patterns in the sky, there lived a little mouse named Milo. Milo was no ordinary mouse. By day, he scurried through the underbrush, gathering seeds and berries, and avoiding the watchful eyes of predators. But by night, when the forest was bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, Milo came alive in a way no one had ever seen. Milo loved to dance. When the world was quiet and the forest animals were nestled in their burrows, Milo would step into a clearing lit by the moon's silvery light. Here, with only the stars as his audience, Milo would twirl and leap, his tiny paws gliding gracefully over the soft mossy ground. The moonlight seemed to sing to him, a melody only he could hear. But Milo had a secret. He was too shy to dance in front of others. The thought of being seen made his whiskers quiver and his little heart race. What if they laughed at him? What if they thought he was silly? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky deepened into twilight, Milo finished his dinner of seeds and hazelnuts. He peered out of his burrow, his dark eyes scanning the forest for any signs of movement. The coast was clear. With a soft sigh of relief, Milo scampered toward his favorite clearing. Tonight, he told himself, he would dance more beautifully than ever before. The moon rose higher, casting a silver spotlight onto the clearing. Milo began to sway, his tiny tail curling gracefully behind him. He spun in circles, leaped into the air, and landed softly on the moss. His movements were delicate and precise, like a leaf floating on a gentle breeze. For a while, it felt as though he were the only creature in the world, but Milo didn't notice a pair of curious eyes watching him from the shadows. Hidden among the ferns, a young rabbit named Rosie had stumbled upon the clearing while foraging for clover. She was about to hop away when she saw Milo's graceful twirls. Rose's eyes widened in amazement. She had never seen a mouse dance before. Quietly, she crouched down, careful not to make a sound, and watched in awe. As Milo finished his final spin, he paused and gazed up at the moon, his chest rising and falling with each breath. He felt alive and free, his shyness momentarily forgotten. But then, a twig snapped. Milo froze. His ears perked up, and his eyes darted toward the source of the sound. Rosie gasped and ducked behind a bush, her heart thudding in her chest. "Who's there?" Milo squeaked, his voice trembling. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, Rosie gathered her courage and stepped into the clearing. "It's just me," she said softly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you." Milo's whiskers twitched nervously. You saw me dancing?" Rosie nodded, a gentle smile spreading across her face. "I did. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Milo's cheeks flushed. He shuffled his paws, unsure of what to say. No one had ever seen him dance before, let alone complimented him. "Don't stop," Rosie said, her voice filled with sincerity. "Please, keep dancing. You're amazing." But Milo shook his head. "I can't," he whispered. "Not while someone is watching." Rosie tilted her head thoughtfully. "What if I promise not to tell anyone? It can be our little secret." Milo hesitated, his tail flicking nervously. But something in Rose's kind eyes made him believe she truly meant it. With a deep breath, he nodded. "Okay. Just this once." And so, As the moon watched from above and Rosie sat quietly on the edge of the clearing, Milo danced once more. This time, his movements were even more confident. The weight of his secret lifted ever so slightly. For the first time, Milo felt the joy of sharing his passion with someone else. As the night wore on and the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Milo and Rosie exchanged shy goodbyes. "Thank you for trusting me," Rosie said, her voice warm. Milo smiled. "Thank you for watching." Little did Milo know, this was only the beginning of an adventure that would change his life forever. Next morning, the sun rose over Willowwood Forest, casting golden rays across the treetops. Milo woke up in his cozy burrow, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. He couldn't stop thinking about the night before. Rose's kind words echoed in his mind, filling him with a sense of pride he'd never felt before. But he couldn't shake the worry that others might find out about his secret dance. Milo peeked outside. The forest was alive with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves. He ventured out to gather some breakfast, carefully nibbling on a patch of clover. As he chewed, he spotted Rosie hopping toward him, her ears twitching with excitement. "Good morning, Milo," Rosie called cheerfully. "How are you today?" Milo's whiskers twitched nervously. "I'm fine," he replied. Did you tell anyone about last night?" Rosie shook her head, her expression serious. "Of course not. I promised it would be our secret, didn't I?" Milo sighed in relief. "Thank you. I'm just not ready for anyone else to know." Rose's smile returned. "I understand. But you shouldn't hide your talent forever, Milo. What you do is special. You might inspire others if you share it." Milo's ears drooped. "Maybe someday, but not now." Rosie nodded, sensing Milo's hesitation. "Okay, how about this? Tonight, we'll meet at the clearing again. You can dance, and I'll keep you company. No one else will know." Milo hesitated but finally agreed. "All right, just you and me." That evening, as the moon rose and bathed the forest in its soft glow, Milo made his way to the clearing. His heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and fear. What if someone else had followed Rosie? What if they laughed at him? He shook the thoughts away and focused on the moonlight that seemed to call to him. Rosie was already waiting when he arrived. "There you are," she said, her voice warm. "I was starting to think you'd changed your mind." "I almost did," Milo admitted. "But the moon, it's too beautiful tonight. I couldn't resist." Rosie nodded. "Then don't let anything hold you back. Dance, Milo." Encouraged by her words, Milo stepped into the clearing. As soon as his paws touched the moss, the music of the moonlight filled his heart. He twirled and leaped, his movements more confident than ever before. Rosie clapped softly, her eyes shining with admiration. But hidden among the shadows, more eyes were watching. Unbeknownst to Milo and Rosie, a curious squirrel named Jasper had been climbing a nearby tree when he spotted the duo in the clearing. At first, he thought Milo was simply playing, but as he watched the mouse's graceful movements, Jasper's jaw dropped. "Incredible," Jasper muttered to himself. He wanted to shout his amazement but bit his tongue, not wanting to interrupt. Instead, he stayed hidden, his bushy tail twitching with excitement. As Milo finished his dance, He turned to Rosie with a shy smile. "How was that?" "Perfect," Rosie said. "You're getting even better." From his perch, Jasper couldn't contain himself any longer. "That was amazing," he called out, scurrying down the tree trunk. Milo froze, his eyes wide with panic. "Who's there?" Jasper stepped into the moonlight, his face beaming with excitement. "It's just me, Jasper. I didn't mean to spy, but I couldn't help watching." "Milo, you're incredible. I've never seen anything like that before." Milo's ears drooped. "You weren't supposed to see me," he murmured, his voice barely audible. Rosie stepped forward. "Jasper, you have to promise not to tell anyone. Milo's not ready to share his dancing with the whole forest yet." Jasper nodded eagerly. "I promise. But Milo, you should know, what you do is something special. The whole forest would love it." Milo looked down, unsure of how to respond. Rosie placed a gentle paw on his shoulder. "It's okay, Milo. You don't have to decide anything right now." Jasper grinned. "And until you're ready, your secret is safe with me." Milo managed a small smile. "Thank you. But please, no more watching from the shadows." Jasper chuckled. "Deal." As the trio stood in the moonlit clearing, a quiet understanding formed between them. Milo's secret was safe, for now. But little did he know, his journey was only just beginning. Willowwood Forest passed quietly, but Milo's heart was anything but calm. Every time he ventured out to collect berries or seeds, he wondered if someone else had discovered his secret. Despite Jasper's promise, Milo couldn't shake the feeling that the forest was alive with whispers about him. Still, each night, Milo returned to the clearing, drawn by the moonlight's call. Rosie and Jasper were true to their word. They joined him each evening, keeping his secret safe and encouraging him to dance. Jasper, who was naturally chatty, often shared tales about the forest, filling the air with laughter and stories. Rosie, ever thoughtful, brought Milo small treasures she found on her foraging trips: a bright red berry, a perfect acorn cap, or a soft feather. These acts of kindness warmed Milo's heart, slowly easing his fears. But the forest had a way of spreading news, even when no one intended it. One crisp evening, as Milo twirled under the moonlight with Rosie and Jasper clapping softly at the edge of the clearing, a breeze carried the sound of their merriment farther than they realized. A family of hedgehogs, returning home from a late-night forage, paused to listen. "What's that sound?" asked the youngest hedgehog, her nose twitching. "It's coming from the clearing," said her brother. "Let's take a look." The hedgehog family crept closer, peering through the bushes just in time to see Milo leap into the air, spinning with a grace that left them speechless. They watched in awe, careful not to make a sound, before quietly retreating back into the forest. The next morning, the hedgehog siblings could hardly contain their excitement. "Did you see him?" the youngest exclaimed to a pair of sparrows perched on a low branch. "A mouse dancing like that. It was magical." The sparrows, curious by nature, chirped with excitement. "We have to see this for ourselves." And so, the whispers began to spread. That night, Milo arrived at the clearing as usual. Rosie and Jasper were already there. But this time, Milo felt a strange sensation, as though unseen eyes were watching him. He paused at the edge of the clearing, his nose twitching as he scanned the shadows. "Is something wrong?" Rosie asked, hopping over to him. "I don't know," Milo admitted. "It just feels different tonight." Jasper, perched on a low branch, looked around. "I don't see anything. Maybe it's just the wind." Encouraged by their reassurances, Milo stepped into the clearing. The moonlight enveloped him like a warm embrace, and he began to dance. He twirled and spun, leaped and glided, his movements as fluid as water. Rosie and Jasper clapped softly, their faces glowing with admiration. But Milo wasn't imagining things. Hidden among the trees and bushes, more animals had gathered to watch. The sparrows perched high in the branches, a family of raccoons peered from behind a log, and even the shy deer stood quietly at the edge of the forest. The clearing had become a secret theater, and Milo was the star. As his final spin brought him to a graceful stop, a soft murmur rippled through the unseen crowd. The sound startled Milo, and he froze. His eyes darted to Rosie and Jasper, who looked just as surprised. "What was that?" Milo whispered, his heart racing. Rosie's ears twitched. I think you have an audience." Before Milo could react, Jasper stepped forward. "All right, whoever's out there, come on out. You can't hide forever." One by one, the animals emerged from their hiding spots. The sparrows fluttered down from the trees, the raccoons shuffled into the clearing, and even the deer stepped cautiously into the moonlight. Milo's eyes widened as he took in the sight of so many faces, all staring at him with expressions of wonder. "We didn't mean to spy," said the eldest raccoon, his voice kind. "But we heard about your dancing, and we had to see it for ourselves. It was breathtaking." Milo's cheeks flushed. You really think so?" The youngest hedgehog nodded eagerly. "It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Please, will you dance again?" Rosie stepped beside Milo, her voice gentle. "It's your choice, Milo. But look at them. They are here because they admire you." Milo looked around at the eager faces, his heart pounding. The fear that had once paralyzed him began to melt away, replaced by a warm glow of acceptance. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the center of the clearing once more. "All right," he said softly, "I'll dance." And as the moonlight bathed the clearing in its silvery glow, Milo began to move, his fears forgotten. The forest animals watched in rapt silence, their hearts touched by the little mouse who had found the courage to share his gift. The forest buzzed with excitement after Milo's performance. Animals that had never spoken to one another exchanged stories about the little mouse who danced under the moonlight. Milo's secret was out, but to his surprise, it didn't feel as scary as he had imagined. Instead, he felt a growing sense of pride. His passion had brought joy to others. That morning, as the sunlight filtered through the canopy, Milo woke to a soft knock at his burrow's entrance. Blinking the sleep from his eyes, he peeked out to find Rosie, Jasper, and a young fawn standing just outside. "Good morning, Milo," Rosie chirped. "We have a surprise for you." "A surprise?" Milo asked, his whiskers twitching with curiosity. The fawn stepped forward, her large brown eyes sparkling. "I'm Fern," she said softly. "I saw your dance last night, and it was beautiful. We all think you should have a proper place to perform." Before Milo could respond, Jasper grinned. "Come on, you've got to see it." They led Milo through the forest, their excitement infectious. As they reached the clearing where Milo had danced the night before, he stopped in his tracks. The scene before him took his breath away. The animals of Willowwood Forest had transformed the clearing. The ground was swept clean of fallen leaves and twigs, creating a smooth stage of soft moss. Fireflies hovered in the air, their gentle glow adding to the magic of the space. At the edges of the clearing, a group of squirrels had woven vines and flowers into garlands, draping them over the surrounding bushes. "Do you like it?" Rosie asked, her ears twitching nervously. Milo's eyes widened. It's wonderful. But why did you do this?" Fern stepped forward, her voice full of admiration. "Because you've brought something special to our forest. We want to celebrate you, Milo. This can be your stage." Milo's heart swelled with emotion. "Thank you. I've never had anything like this before." Jasper clapped him on the back. "Well, you deserve it. Now, how about you give us another performance tonight? Everyone's already talking about it." Milo hesitated, the old nervousness creeping back into his chest. "I don't know. Performing for so many animals, it's a lot." Rosie placed a reassuring paw on his shoulder. "You don't have to do it alone, Milo. We're here to support you." Fern nodded. "And we'll make sure everyone behaves. No one will laugh or make you feel uncomfortable. They just want to see the magic you create." After a moment, Milo took a deep breath. "All right, I'll do it." That evening, as the moon climbed high into the sky, the forest animals gathered at the clearing. The deer stood at the edges, their eyes shining in the moonlight. The raccoons brought berries and nuts to share, while the sparrows perched in the branches above, chirping softly. Even the shy hedgehogs and a family of foxes had come to watch. Milo stood at the edge of the clearing, his heart racing. Rosie and Jasper stood beside him, offering words of encouragement. "You've got this, Milo," Jasper said with a grin. "Just dance like no one's watching." Milo nodded, stepping into the clearing. As the moonlight bathed him in its silvery glow, he closed his eyes and let the melody of the night fill his heart. Slowly, he began to move. His paws glided across the moss, his tail swayed in rhythm, and his tiny body spun and leaped with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly. The forest was silent, save for the rustle of leaves and the soft chirping of crickets. Every eye was fixed on Milo, their hearts captivated by his movements. The fireflies swirled around him, their light weaving into his performance. As Milo finished his final spin, he paused, his chest rising and falling with each breath. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the clearing erupted in applause. The animals cheered, stumped their paws, and flapped their wings, their joy echoing through the forest. Milo looked around, his cheeks flushing with pride. He had done it. He had danced for an audience, and they loved it. Rosie and Jasper rushed to his side, their faces glowing with excitement. "You were amazing, Milo," Rosie exclaimed. "The whole forest is talking about you now," Jasper added. "You're a star." Milo smiled, his fears melting away. For the first time, he felt truly seen and appreciated. The clearing had become more than a stage. It was a place where he could be himself, surrounded by friends who believed in him. As the animals began to disperse, Milo looked up at the moon and whispered, "Thank you." The moon seemed to wink back, its light shining even brighter. And so, the little mouse who once danced in secret found a new stage, a new community, and a new sense of courage that would carry him into many more moonlit nights. After Milo's breathtaking performance, the forest couldn't stop buzzing with excitement. Animals Milo had never met stopped him during his daily errands to compliment his dancing. Birds chirped about him as they flitted from tree to tree, and even the grumpy old badger, who rarely left his den, murmured about the dancing mouse who had brought new energy to Willowwood Forest. For the first time in his life, Milo felt like he truly belonged. But with this newfound fame came unexpected challenges. One afternoon, while Milo was gathering seeds near the brook, a squirrel messenger named Poppy approached him, holding a scroll tied with a golden thread. Her bright eyes sparkled as she handed it to him. "This is for you, Milo," Poppy said with a grin. "It's from the Great Oak Circle." Milo's paws trembled as he untied the thread and unrolled the scroll. The Great Oak Circle was a group of elder animals who oversaw events in the forest. The scroll read, "Dear Milo, your gift of dance has brought joy to all of Willowwood. We would be honored if you would perform at the upcoming Harvest Moon Festival. The festival is the highlight of the year, and your talent would make it truly unforgettable. Please let us know if you accept this invitation. Warm regards, Elder Birch, on behalf of the Great Oak Circle." Milo's heart raced. The Harvest Moon Festival was the biggest event in the forest, attended by animals from far and wide. The idea of performing for such a large crowd both thrilled and terrified him. "You're going to say yes, right?" Poppy asked, her tail flicking with excitement. Milo hesitated. I don't know. That's such a big audience. What if I mess up?" Poppy's face softened. "Milo, everyone loves your dancing. You'll be amazing. I just know it. Besides, Rosie and Jasper will help you." "You think so?" Milo asked, his voice uncertain. Poppy nodded. "Of course. Now go tell them the news. They'll be so proud of you." That evening, Milo met Rosie and Jasper at the clearing. He held the scroll tightly in his paws, unsure of how to tell them. "What's that?" Rosie asked, hopping closer. Milo handed her the scroll, and she read it aloud. Jasper's eyes grew wide, and he let out a whistle. "The Harvest Moon Festival? Milo, this is huge!" Jasper exclaimed. "You have to say yes." Rosie nodded eagerly. "This is such an honor, Milo. Think of all the animals you'll inspire." "But what if I'm not ready?" Milo said, his voice trembling. "I've never danced for such a big audience before." Rosie placed a comforting paw on his shoulder. "We'll help you prepare. You don't have to do this alone." Jasper grinned. "Yeah, we can even build you some props. Imagine dancing with leaves floating around you or stepping on glowing mushrooms. The crowd will love it." Milo couldn't help but smile at their enthusiasm. "You really think I can do it?" "We know you can," Rosie said firmly. Taking a deep breath, Milo nodded. "All right, I'll do it. I'll perform at the Harvest Moon Festival." Over the next few days, the clearing became a flurry of activity. Animals from all over the forest came to help Milo prepare. The sparrows practiced flying in synchronized patterns to accompany his dance, while the fireflies rehearsed creating glowing shapes in the air. Rosie gathered the softest moss for Milo's stage, and Jasper crafted tiny props out of twigs and flowers. Milo practiced every night, perfecting his steps under the moonlight. With each spin and leap, he grew more confident. Rosie and Jasper's encouragement never wavered, and the forest animals cheered him on whenever they passed by. As the night of the Harvest Moon Festival approached, Milo stood at the edge of the clearing, gazing up at the glowing moon. He felt a mixture of excitement and nerves, but deep down, he knew he was ready. "Tomorrow," he whispered to the moon, "I'll dance for everyone." The moon seemed to shine a little brighter, as if offering its blessing. The stage was set, and Milo's greatest performance was just one night away. The night of the Harvest Moon Festival had finally arrived. Willowwood Forest was alive with excitement as animals gathered from far and wide to celebrate. The great clearing where the festival was held glowed with soft light from hundreds of fireflies and lanterns made from hollowed-out acorns and gourds. The air buzzed with the sound of chatter, laughter, and music as animals prepared for the night's grand events. Milo stood backstage in a small corner of the clearing, his heart pounding. He peeked out from behind a curtain of woven leaves and vines, his eyes widening at the sight of the enormous crowd. Deer, foxes, squirrels, owls, and even a family of shy otters had gathered, their faces glowing with anticipation. In the center of it all, the great oak circle sat in a place of honor, their wise eyes observing everything. Rosie and Jasper were by Milo's side, helping him prepare. "How are you feeling?" Rosie asked, her voice gentle. "Nervous," Milo admitted, his whiskers twitching. "What if I forget my steps? What if they don't like it?" Jasper gave him a reassuring pat on the back. "You've practiced for this, Milo. You're going to be amazing. Just remember what you told the moon. Dance for yourself first, and everyone else will feel it." Milo nodded, taking a deep breath. "Okay, I'll do my best." The festival began with music and storytelling. The elder owl, known as Sage, told a tale of how the harvest moon had blessed the forest with its light for generations. Then came the feast, with animals sharing delicious berries, nuts, and fresh stream water. As the festivities reached their peak, Elder Birch stood and raised his voice above the crowd. "Friends of Willowwood," he said, his deep voice carrying across the clearing, "tonight, we are honored to witness a special performance. A young mouse has shown us all the power of passion and dedication. Please join me in welcoming Milo, our moonlit dancer." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause as Milo stepped into the center of the clearing. The fireflies dimmed their glow slightly, creating a magical ambience under the radiant harvest moon. Milo's heart pounded in his chest, but as he looked out at the faces of his friends, Rosie, Jasper, and even Puppy, who waved excitedly from the crowd, his nerves began to fade. The music began softly, a gentle melody hummed by the sparrows and owls, accompanied by the rhythmic tapping of the raccoons' wooden sticks. Milo closed his eyes, letting the moonlight and music guide him. Then, he began to dance. He started with a graceful spin, his tiny paws gliding effortlessly across the mossy ground. Each movement was deliberate and fluid, like water flowing under the moon's glow. The fireflies swirled around him in perfect harmony, their lights accentuating his leaps and twirls. The sparrows flew overhead, tracing patterns in the sky that mirrored Milo's steps. Jasper's props, delicate leaves and glowing mushrooms, added a magical touch as they floated gently around the stage. The audience watched in awe, their cheers fading into a reverent silence as Milo's performance carried them to another world. His movements told a story of courage, of finding light in the darkness, and of sharing one's gifts with the world. As the final notes of the melody faded, Milo leapt into the air, spinning gracefully before landing softly in a bow. For a moment, the clearing was utterly silent. Then, a thunderous applause erupted, echoing through the forest. Animals cheered, stumped their paws, and flapped their wings. Some even shed tears, moved by the beauty of Milo's dance. Milo stood up, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. He looked around at the crowd, his heart swelling with joy. Rosie and Jasper rushed forward to embrace him, their faces beaming with pride. "You did it, Milo," Rosie exclaimed. "You were incredible." Jasper added, "I knew you could do it." Elder Birch approached, his wise eyes twinkling. "Milo, your dance was a gift to us all. You reminded us of the magic that lives within each of us. Thank you for sharing your light." The crowd roared their agreement, chanting Milo's name as he smiled, his cheeks flushing with happiness. For the first time, Milo truly believed in himself. His dance had not only brought joy to the forest but had also shown him the power of his own courage and passion. As the festival continued late into the night, Milo stood under the harvest moon, surrounded by friends and the warmth of the forest's love. He knew this was only the beginning of his journey, and he couldn't wait to see where his dancing paws would take him next. The days after the Harvest Moon Festival were a whirlwind for Milo. His performance had left an indelible mark on the animals of Willowwood Forest. Everywhere he went, creatures stopped to thank him or express how much his dance had moved them. Yet, Milo remained humble, dedicating every evening to practicing in his favorite clearing under the moon's watchful glow. One crisp morning, as the autumn leaves danced in the breeze, a stranger arrived in Willowwood Forest. It was a crow named Corbin, with sleek black feathers that shimmered in the sunlight. He perched on a high branch near Milo's burrow, observing him as the little mouse arranged his morning seeds. Finally, Corbin called out, "Milo, the moonlit dancer, I presume." Startled, Milo looked up. "Yes, that's me. Who are you?" Corbin bowed dramatically, his wings spreading wide. "I am Corbin, a messenger from the neighboring Elmshade Woods. Word of your performance at the Harvest Moon Festival has traveled far, and my mistress, Lady Alara, wishes to extend an invitation to you." Milo blinked, unsure how to respond. "An invitation? For what?" Corbin's eyes gleamed. "Lady Alara hosts a grand gathering under the Elmshade's ancient trees each autumn. Performers from across the region showcase their talents for animals from many lands. She believes your dance would enchant her guests and bring honor to Willowwood." Milo's heart raced. Performing beyond Willowwood? The idea both thrilled and terrified him. I don't know. That sounds very big. I've never danced anywhere else before." Corbin tilted his head. "Lady Alara's gatherings are indeed renowned. But consider this. Your dance has already inspired those here. Imagine how many others you could touch with your gift." Later that day, Milo shared the news with Rosie and Jasper in the clearing. Rosie's eyes lit up with excitement, while Jasper let out a low whistle. "Elmshade Woods? That's a whole new world, Milo," Jasper said. "You have to go. Think of the adventure." "It's a big opportunity," Rosie agreed, her voice gentle. "But it's also okay to feel nervous. We'll help you prepare." just like we did for the festival." Milo looked between his friends, his tail flicking anxiously. "I'm worried I won't be good enough. What if I disappoint everyone?" Rosie stepped closer, placing a paw on his shoulder. "You've already proven how brave and talented you are, Milo. If you dance from your heart, you'll never disappoint anyone." Jasper grinned. "And if you need props, I'll craft the best ones yet. Lady Alara's guests won't know what hit them." Milo chuckled, their encouragement lifting his spirits. "All right, I'll do it. I'll go to Elmshade Woods." The journey to Elmshade Woods took 2 days. Rosie and Jasper insisted on accompanying Milo, carrying supplies and keeping him company along the way. Corbin flew ahead, scouting the path and regaling them with tales of the grand gatherings he'd seen. When they arrived, Milo was awestruck. Elmshade Woods was vast and majestic, its trees towering higher than anything he'd seen in Willowwood. The forest floor was blanketed in soft moss, and streams of golden light filtered through the leaves. At the heart of the woods stood a grand stage made of intertwined roots and branches, decorated with flowers that glowed faintly in the twilight. Lady Alara, a graceful red fox with a silver-tipped tail, greeted them warmly. "Welcome, Milo," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. "We are honored to have you here. I've heard of your moonlit dances, and I cannot wait to see them for myself." Milo bowed shyly. "Thank you for inviting me, Lady Alara. I'll do my best." The stage was bustling with activity as other performers prepared. There were acrobatic squirrels, a choir of songbirds, and even a family of fireflies perfecting their synchronized light display. Milo watched in awe, feeling both inspired and intimidated. That night, as the moon rose over Elmshade Woods, the grand gathering began. Performers took the stage one by one, each act met with cheers and applause. Finally, it was Milo's turn. Rosie and Jasper gave him encouraging smiles as he stepped onto the stage. The crowd fell silent, their eyes fixed on the tiny mouse bathed in moonlight. Milo took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and let the music in his heart guide him. He danced like never before. The moonlight seemed to flow through him, his movements fluid and free. The fireflies joined in, weaving their glowing patterns around him, while the soft hum of the songbirds provided a melodic backdrop. The audience watched in rapt silence, completely enchanted. When Milo finished with a final, graceful bow, the clearing erupted in applause. Animals from all corners of the woods cheered his name, their voices echoing through the trees. Lady Alara stepped forward, her eyes shining. "Milo, you have a rare gift," she said. "Tonight, you reminded us all of the beauty and magic that live within us." "Thank you." As the crowd's cheers surrounded him, Milo felt a warmth unlike anything he'd ever known. He realized that his journey was far from over. The world was vast, and there were so many others he could inspire with his dance. For the first time, Milo felt ready to embrace it all. Under the glow of the moon and the applause of a grateful audience, the little mouse from Willowwood took his first steps toward becoming a star beyond the forest. The applause from Milo's performance in Elmshade Wood still echoed in his heart as he and his friends prepared to return to Willowwood Forest. The animals of Elmshade had treated him like a star, showering him with compliments and gifts, a garland of glowing flowers, a polished acorn charm, and even a feather pen from Corbin. Lady Alara herself had bid him farewell, saying, "Milo, your dance has left an imprint on our hearts. You will always be welcome here." As they walked back through the winding forest paths, Rosie and Jasper couldn't stop talking about the adventure. "Did you see the way everyone watched you?" Jasper said, leaping over a fallen log. "You're practically famous now, Milo. Imagine all the stories they'll tell about you." Rosie smiled warmly. "You were incredible, Milo. I hope you're proud of yourself." Milo blushed, his whiskers twitching. "It still feels like a dream. But I couldn't have done it without you too. You've always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." Rosie and Jasper exchanged a glance, their eyes shining with pride. As they neared Willowwood, the familiar sights and sounds of their home welcomed them. The gentle rustling of leaves, the chirping of sparrows, and the babbling brook felt like a comforting embrace. But something was different. The forest seemed more vibrant, as if it had absorbed the energy of Milo's journey and carried it back with him. When they reached the clearing, they were greeted by a surprise. The animals of Willowwood had gathered, decorating the clearing with garlands of leaves and flowers. A banner made of woven grasses hung between two trees, reading, "Welcome home, Milo." Milo's eyes widened. What is this?" Elder Birch stepped forward, his wise gaze filled with warmth. "Milo, we've heard of your success in Elmshade Woods. Your courage and talent have brought great honor to our forest. We wanted to celebrate your return." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Milo's heart swelled with gratitude. Rosie nudged him gently. "Go on," she whispered. "This is your moment." Taking a deep breath, Milo stepped forward. "Thank you," he began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "When I first started dancing, I was too afraid to let anyone see me. But with your support, I found the courage to share my passion." Dancing at Elmshade Woods was an incredible experience, but there's nothing like being home with all of you. The animals clapped and cheered, their love and pride evident in their faces. Rosie and Jasper beamed, their tails swaying in unison. That night, as the moon rose high above Willowwood, Milo stepped into the center of the clearing. The fireflies gathered, their soft glow illuminating the space. This time, it wasn't just a performance. It was a celebration of everything he had learned and the community that had lifted him up. With the music of the forest guiding him, Milo danced. He twirled and leaped, his movements more confident and joyful than ever before. The animals watched in awe, their hearts full of admiration for the little mouse who had taught them all the power of following one's dreams. As Milo finished his final spin, the clearing erupted in cheers once more. But this time, Milo didn't feel nervous or shy. He felt at home, surrounded by those who loved and believed in him. Later, as the animals began to drift back to their burrows, Milo stood under the moon with Rosie and Jasper by his side. "Do you think you'll dance at other forests again?" Rosie asked. Milo looked up at the glowing moon, a smile spreading across his face. "I think so. There's so much more to see and share. But no matter where I go, Willowwood will always be my home." Rosie nodded. "And we'll always be here, cheering you on." Jasper grinned. "And making the best props, of course." The three friends laughed, their voices blending with the gentle rustle of the forest. As the moonlight bathed them in its silvery glow, Milo felt a deep sense of peace. His journey was just beginning, but he knew he would always have the strength and support of Willowwood to guide him. And so, under the watchful gaze of the moon, the little mouse who once danced in secret prepared for the adventures that lay ahead, his heart full of courage and his paws ready to move to the rhythm of his dreams. As autumn deepened, Willowwood Forest grew quieter. The leaves turned golden and crimson, blanketing the forest floor with a soft crunch. Animals busied themselves preparing for the winter, gathering food and insulating their burrows. Yet, the clearing where Milo danced remained a place of life and light. Animals still visited, hoping to catch a glimpse of the little mouse who had become a symbol of inspiration for the forest. Milo, however, had begun to feel a new sense of purpose. While dancing remained his passion, he started noticing something he hadn't before. Others had dreams, too. Some were just as shy as he had once been, hiding their talents and unsure of their worth. Milo wanted to change that. One evening, as the moon rose and bathed the clearing in silver light, Milo called a meeting. Rosie and Jasper helped spread the word, and soon, animals from all over Willowwood gathered. The sparrows perched on low branches, the hedgehogs nestled near the roots of trees, and even the foxes sat quietly at the edge of the clearing. Rosie stepped forward to address the crowd. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice carrying across the clearing. "Milo has something important to share with everyone." Milo stepped into the center, his paws trembling slightly. But as he looked around, the warm, encouraging faces of his friends gave him strength. "When I first started dancing, I was too afraid to let anyone see me," Milo said. "But thanks to all of you, I found the courage to share my passion. And because of that, my life has changed in ways I never imagined." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. "But I've realized something important. Every one of you has a gift. It might not be dancing, but it could be storytelling, painting, singing, or something else entirely. And just like I needed Rosie and Jasper to help me, maybe some of you need someone to encourage you, too." A murmur spread through the crowd, animals exchanging curious glances. Milo smiled. "That's why I want to start something new. I call it the Moonlight Circle. It'll be a space for anyone who wants to share their talents, learn from others, and build the same courage I found here. Together, we can inspire each other to follow our dreams." For a moment, there was silence. Then, the youngest hedgehog, her quills sparkling in the moonlight, spoke up. I like to sing, but I'm too shy to do it in front of others." Milo's heart swelled. "Then you can sing here, in the Moonlight Circle. We'll cheer you on, just like everyone cheered for me." One by one, other animals began to share their hidden passions. A squirrel confessed a love for painting with berry juice. A fox admitted he wrote poetry in secret. Even the elder owl, Sage, revealed that she had always wanted to try storytelling but had never felt brave enough. Over the next few weeks, the Moonlight Circle became a beloved part of life in Willowwood. Each evening, the clearing transformed into a stage for creativity and expression. The sparrows sang duets, the foxes recited poetry, and the squirrels displayed vibrant artwork. Milo often danced, not as the star, but as part of the circle, cheering for others as they found their voices. One night, as the Moonlight Circle gathered under a particularly bright moon, Rosie turned to Milo, her eyes shining. You've started something truly magical, Milo. Look at all these animals finding their courage because of you. Milo smiled, his heart full. It's not just me. It's all of us, sharing our light and lifting each other up. That's what makes it special. As the night went on, the clearing buzzed with joy and creativity. Milo stood at the edge, watching as the animals of Willowwood came alive with their newfound confidence. He realized that this, helping others shine, was just as fulfilling as dancing under the moonlight. And as the moon watched from above, it seemed to glow brighter, as if blessing the little mouse who had discovered the true power of sharing his light. Winter arrived in Willowwood Forest, blanketing the ground with a soft layer of snow. Despite the cold, the clearing where Milo once danced in secret now buzzed with warmth and life. The Moonlight Circle had become the heart of the forest, a place where animals of all kinds came together to share their passions, stories, and dreams. One frosty evening, the animals gathered for a special celebration. The Moonlight Circle had grown so much that new faces joined every week, and tonight was a night to honor the community they had built together. The clearing glowed with lanterns crafted from frosted leaves, and the fireflies danced in gentle patterns above. Milo stood in the center, his heart full as he gazed at the gathered crowd. Rosie and Jasper stood at his side, beaming with pride. Milo, Elder Birch called, stepping forward. You've done something extraordinary here. Because of your courage, the forest is brighter than it has ever been. Tonight, we honor you, not just for your dancing, but for inspiring us to believe in ourselves and each other. The animals erupted in applause, cheering Milo's name. Milo blushed but stepped forward, his voice steady and warm. Thank you, all of you, he began. When I first started dancing, I never imagined it would lead to this. But what I've learned is that sharing your light, whether it's through dance, song, art, or simply encouraging someone else, can create something truly magical. This community, this Moonlight Circle, is proof of what we can achieve when we lift each other up. He looked around at the smiling faces, his heart swelling with gratitude. I hope we all continue to share our light and inspire others, both here in Willowwood and beyond. Together, we can make the world brighter. The crowd cheered, their voices blending with the gentle rustle of the forest. That night, Milo danced under the moonlight one last time. But this time, he wasn't alone. The animals of Willowwood joined in, each moving in their own unique way. It wasn't perfect or polished, but it was beautiful, a celebration of unity, courage, and shared dreams. Moral lesson: Milo's journey teaches us that embracing our unique gifts and sharing them with others can inspire change and bring people together. Courage doesn't mean being fearless. It means taking the first step despite fear. And when we support each other, we create a world where everyone's light can shine. Did Milo's story inspire you? Remember, you have a unique gift that can make the world brighter, just like Milo's dance. What's your passion? Share it in the comments below. And let's create our own Moonlight Circle right here on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more heartwarming stories. Let's spread the light together.